Welcome to Caffeine Confessionals. This is the Double Agents Episode 2 recap. My name is Allan Aguirre. This is my lovely Canadian partner, Miss Nikki Sin.
Hello, hello.
How's your
And
Wednesday night going?
pretty good. It's pretty late for me here. It's very dark and very cold. We
It's
got some
been like
snow
that.
though.
It's been like that since 5 p.m. here.
Dark and snowy.
Oh, no, not snowy. I've never seen snow in my life.
That baffles me.
I live in the Los Angeles area. The coldest it really ever gets here is like 50. Like sometimes it gets into the 40s. As a whole, though, like the only time it's ever been 40 in my life, it's like been at like 3 a.m. when you're asleep.
That's crazy to me. I'm purposely, just a few days after Christmas, driving to British Columbia to be like closer to like snowy mountains.
I want to see snow. At the same time, there's a lot of stuff about snow that I'm just not physically ready for. I'm like a snow virgin at this point. Where like, I've seen videos of people like in snow and stuff like that. I've been like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. I've seen the movie Cool Runnings.
It's
Snow's cool.
fun for like
Uh,
10 minutes.
yeah, it's just that like, how do you drive in the snow? Like, what type of clothing are you supposed to wear?
We have snow tires. We have
I,
like specific tires made for snow.
God, does that like happen? Is there a button in my car where I push it and my tires turn into snow tires?
No, you have to specifically buy the tires, or you have to buy like all season tires. And we wear like we really do wear. I'm gonna sound so Canadian. We really do wear like parkas and toques.
Wow,
Yeah,
I've never even worn a part that concept isn't even the thing. Most times I wear like a sweater and then I take off the sweater once it gets to like 10 a.m.
I'm just like waddling around like Baby Yoda or like Maggie on The Simpsons when she's in like that snow starsuit thing. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's it's a real thing.
Now that we've talked about this snow, let's talk about this episode. What did you think of
Yeah,
it as a whole?
I really liked it. I know I was seeing a lot of stuff on Twitter where people were like, I didn't like this episode. They're gonna like turn it into like whatever total madness was. I really liked it. I thought there was a lot of like really funny parts. I think that they showed more people this time, like more of the cast members rather than just all Anissa.
I
Not
agree.
that I don't love seeing Anissa, but I overall great episode.
This episode was made for someone like me or you, and that like we write about the show, we cover it in such a way that you see these relationships building and you see the politics side of the game and you learn a lot more about it. Last week they
100%.
just threw so much stuff at us at 100 miles an hour that didn't have any depth to it really. And when you get hit with all that stuff, you're like, wow, this is all really good because there's so much being thrown at me. I'm thoroughly entertained that you don't really get a second to think about, was this actually good?
Yeah, I really liked that this episode seemed like more of a jog than a sprint. You know what I mean? Like everything isn't coming at us in such a fast pace, and especially if you're like a newer viewer, then last week's episode must have just been a lot. This one, you sort of see how they develop social connections to play a
Yeah,
better political game.
this week, this episode as a whole was slower, but I enjoyed it and I think it sets the pace for the rest of the season a lot more. My guess is that as the season goes on, as the cast gets trimmed down, we're going to get sped up a lot more. And you're also going to see it slow down at the same time. So, especially once you get those players who are going to get eliminated that episode, when they get that edit where they finally care about them, we're going to see them shown.
I'm excited.
Moving into the actual episode itself, we opened up with Natalie picking her new partner or choosing to stay with Wes, and she chose to stay with Wes, which I think disappointed most people.
Yeah, except for Wes. Disappointed most people except for Wes.
I mean, I think it would have been smarter for Wes if Natalie picked a new partner and been like, yeah, Wes is our alliance. He's our partner. He's our ally too. Because then
Yeah,
you spread yourself across two teams, and that gives you more voting power. It's a very short-sighted move. I mean, Natalie is a very strong social strategic player. This was just a twist that she probably was not ready for just yet. You kind of don't want to be the first person to jump in like that.
I find that at least with last episode and this episode, people aren't really making strategic moves that are long lasting. It's sort of like, okay, how can I just like survive the week?
I think that's the name of the game sometimes, though, because sometimes your time just gets cut short in this show, and you'd rather make that move. Again, this cast is so different in that it's so wide open, and there's no number one contender. Even with Lolo Jones, she isn't, you know, strong on the social side of the game or the political side of the game. There's no one that feels like they're dominating. You can make the argument for Cam, but even then, there's still some weaknesses, some holes in her game.
Yeah, but I really like seeing her develop her gameplay every season.
She's definitely improved, and I think she is playing the game that West wish she was right now.
I know. Poor thing. Poor poor gingerbread man.
Next up, we have Cam, CT, and West kind of talking about how Cam is playing a scared game. In reality, it's not a scared game. I think it's a threatened game where she sees them for what they are, as in like champions who should get targeted because they have won a lot and they have been to a lot of finals. The
Yeah,
fact they're calling, yeah, just the
it's not
fact
a
they're
scare
calling it
game. It's
scared.
defensive.
Yeah, it's a smart game. Scared is the wrong word because they are obvious that Cam making these moves is making her a big target. At the same time, it's the right moves.
Yeah, I think she's going for more like of a defensive strategy rather than like offensive. Because if you come off like too much on this show sometimes, it comes back to bite you.
Agreed. And I think that, people are attacking both West and Cam for the wrong reasons. People are attacking
Absolutely.
Cam because she went for CT and people idolize CT. And West just using the word scared was a bad choice on his part. However,
Yes.
he's not wrong in the game she's playing. He's not completely wrong.
I think that he was like, oh, like Cam's playing a scared game, like all these girls are like afraid of Natalie. But they haven't had anyone really say that. Like you're not Wes and Natalie didn't go into elimination last week because of Natalie. They went in because of Wes. Like the expectation was that both teammates would go home, not that it was going to be a surprise production of only the women go home.
Yeah, Wes is the master of the narrative creation, where
Yeah,
if you say it enough times, then like enough people will start to believe it. At
fake
the
it till
same
you make
time,
it.
he is brilliant in those ways, but it makes him really susceptible to getting just dunked on by
Yeah.
social media. Then we have the daily challenge, which was players jumping into a freezing ocean, going to get a block of ice, then taking that block of ice, swimming back over to a station where they would have to break the ice, grab a capsule that is inside the ice, and then put it in another player's dock, I guess I'll say. And there were players had 3 docks, and once
And
all 3 are filled in, you are eliminated. They have done a similar challenge like this on Survivor, where you answer trivia questions, and then you cut someone's ropes, something similar.
I
They also
love
did,
it.
yeah.
Like
I love this challenge too.
expose like all these like little alliances and like see who has the power in the house. Also, I just want to point out, Nicole didn't seem to know that ice floats. She, are we gonna get a
That's
boat to bring the ice back? They're like, no, ice floats. And she was like, oh. I'm sure she knows that it does, but like they did her. I'm not obviously I'm not a Nicole fan if you've met me. Um, But they did her a little bit dirty with that.
I just know that when Nicole went back to the house, she got a glass of water, dumped an ice cube in there, and just had her mind explode.
Yeah, it was like, oh my god, oh my god. They they don't teach you that in Staten Island school. They just don't.
That's one of those like questions where you get it on like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and because you've been doing it your whole life, you've never like considered the fact like, wait, what does ice do? Because it just floats. It
Yeah,
just does. It's just been a thing since you were born.
it's one of those mix-ups. Like the other day, my friend's like, "Yeah, I was doing a handstand." I was like, "Oh, a headstand," and she's like, "No, a handstand." I'm like, "Isn't it a headstand?" And she's like, "No, I was using my hands." I was like, "Oh, okay."
In this daily challenge, they really want their players to die because I don't know if they learned from last season when Nelson, Kayla, and Dee almost got hypothermia. But again, we had a player like quit, or not quit, but like be medically taken out because they were too cold, and that was Michi this time around.
That was, and it's kind of crazy because I thought Gabby was going to be out because they showed her. She was like, "I can't breathe in here." Like she was like struggling, but Leo really had her back, and you know that
That
I love
I,
partner support like that.
yeah,
He was like,
I
"You can
love
do
that
it.
team. I
You go."
love that duo so much.
So underestimated, I feel.
They're a combined 240 pounds, about maybe 10 and a half feet.
Badassery. I love it.
And the team that won this challenge was Anissa and Fessy because no one was putting any pieces in their docks,
Which
which makes
was,
sense.
yeah, I I guess it kind of just seemed like a big mess once it like got down to like the final five teams where like the first thing they did was take Wes and Natalie out, which wasn't super shocking to me. But then once it got down to like the final five teams, they're all asking Fessy like, "Oh, where should I put this one? Well, where should I put this one?" It's well, you get a team out. Don't you want to win?
Fessy's killing it. I mean, from the political side of the game,
He
he's
is.
got the whole Big Brother alliance. He's got the Team Young Bucks alliance. Some of the men are just too afraid to cross him because he's a physical beast. He was covered on all sides for this challenge. What I think is important to note is that these daily challenges, if they put them in late in the season, they are terrible because they allow a player to get teamed up on, like Wes and Natalie did, and just have no shot at winning. And it kind of ruins the integrity of the game of like having a fair shot.
Yeah.
However, early in the season, it's the best because people are forced to make moves, make allegiances, really just show their ass.
It's it's just fun for us to watch the like social and political carnage that occurs. I love
You
it.
just see people getting angry, like Devin and Nicole getting angry at Darrell. And I'm like, Devin, you're not going to do anything to Darrell.
What are you gonna do to Darrell? Tell me.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, that's your moment. That's your moment. You get angry at Darrell and you hope to get a rival season with Darrell as your partner, if anything.
Oh, yeah.
That was Marie with Kara for Final Reckoning. She willed that into existence.
And that was smart. That was a smart move on her part. I'd get in there and be like, I hate Darrell. Just the worst, you know? Not a nice guy. Terrible player. I think I'm gonna target him this season. He's like, well, why don't you like me? And I'm like, I'm trying to get rivals. I'm trying to get you as a rivals partner. If you
That's Brittany Thornton in every confessional ever.
uh, I can't stand her either. Too
Well,
messy for me.
Fessy and Anissa winning this is also an added thing of interest because they are also the only team who knows about the winner's twist where you get to see who everyone voted for. Nobody else knows this yet, or maybe I'm not sure if they know it yet.
What throws me off though is this isn't the first time that they've had the secret vote. Like, remember they had the one where they're like, "Oh, it's a secret vote," and then once they got to elimination, all their little like platforms lit up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, from Final Reckoning, I agree, but
I
they
wouldn't
don't know that the
suspect
winners
it.
get to see them all. Maybe they only know that the winners get to see who got voted in, rather than everyone who voted for them.
Okay, I would still.
I mean, there's the scene later on where Kyle lies about who he voted
Oh,
for proudly in the room with Fessy in it.
oh, just why? Why did he think that was? He's like, yeah, I have this master plan. I'm gonna go around and tell everyone in the house I didn't vote for them. But what for? But you did this for what? You know? But I'm one of the lonely Kyle fans because I like Kyle from like Geordie Shore.
I love Kyle too. I think he's hilarious. I think he adds so much to the show, and I do think it's funny that both he and Nani don't want each other as partners, despite
Nope.
being one of the first pairs to like pair up to be like, "Hey, you want to be my partner? Yeah, this is gonna be great." And then they both had this moment. It was almost like the night after hooking up, and you just look at the person in your bed, and you're like,
Oh,
"I don't know about this."
like was this the best idea? Can I get an Uber now?
Nani's like he was tall, he had tattoos. It was in the moment.
Nani, we've all done it. We've all done it. You had to play a game of like, is is he hot or is he just tall with tattoos? And let me tell you, Kyle's both. I'm attracted to Kyle. He's British too. Come on. Works
it's
for me.
just it's just so funny because on paper they have a good team. They're a good pair, and they just don't want each other for I think mostly the same reason. They don't think each other could win.
Yeah, like they've both been to finals. They both finished finals.
I do like that Kyle keeps saying, "Oh, nobody here has beat me in a final," and just like waving it around, like, "How you've been to like two finals." And
Yeah,
like
and
the only person here who's been a final with you is like Corey and Fessy. That's not saying much.
it just so happens that there's only two people that were in a final with you there.
He did
Casey was there
technically.
too.
Oh, you're right. He did technically beat Cam on the Vendettas final, I guess, and Leroy. All right, you know what?
Okay.
There's some meat to this sauce.
Okay. A little bit of spice for it, you know. Okay.
What we also got in this episode was Fessy just living in the moment, just doing his little dance in front of all the girls, taking his shirt off, and the best part was he didn't take the shirt all the way off.
No,
He only took it like half
just a
off.
few buttons, you know? Just a little just trying to get a discount on some drinks or something. You
It
know?
would have it was a real 8 out of 10 showing. It would have been 11 out of 10 if he took the whole shirt off.
I just for me, Fessy's too muscular for me to find like to be attractive to him. I don't think he's an unattractive man. You know, he definitely like this season is like Haley who? Never heard of her. I did really like Teresa's line where she's like, "This is most personality seen from him."
It was a very good jab by Teresa, who has really not gotten an edit this season, despite being a big return. We haven't
Yeah,
seen a lot of people this season. We haven't seen either of the Ambers, much from Liv, much from Michi. I mean, we saw Michi die, but that was about it. Haven't seen a lot from Jay either. There's so many people on this cast that aren't getting shown.
it's frustrating to me because they sort of gave us like a teaser where Nani was like, "Yeah, I haven't really talked to Teresa since we like had beef on the last season that we did together." And I was like, "Okay, so we're gonna get to see them like talk to each other." Nothing.
And what's funny is that on Twitter, all these people will get happy, like, oh yeah, Darrell clocked Wes when he made this comment about Wes not being a baller because Wes talks about how much money he has, and real ballers don't do that, which is hilarious. Yet those moments are so fleeting and so far in between that we don't really feel like we're getting these characters. And
Yeah,
I hate these one elimination and episode seasons. And I know that MTV wants to hold on to these cast members for as long as they can based on what they're paying them to be there.
oh yeah,
But
like
I think about a season
dollars
like
worth.
I think about a season like Free Agents, and they had two eliminations an episode, and even though you would lose good people every week, like a Dustin or a John A or someone like that, the fact that there were less people at the end really lets you like get these people screen time. They deserved and earned their screen time. Where you remember that season for like, oh yeah, Kahada really impressed me. Preston really impressed me. Devin, all these like people, the good Devin Simone, all these people where they got the
Bless her.
screen time because they earned it. And I don't feel like you get that in these seasons with so many people on the cast.
Yeah, and also like what you lose in cast members by having more than one elimination a week, you gain in viewers.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people's favorite thing about the challenge is eliminations. It's the best
Yeah.
part. I mean, sometimes you just tune out in the daily challenges themselves, even if they look cool.
Oh, this daily challenge I could not tune out because the minute TJ's like, to start, you and your partner are going to dive into this freezing cold water, and I just immediately was like, no, I would not. Just look at TJ and be like, I tell you what, we're not doing. First thing we're going to do is disqualify Nikki and her partner because one, can't swim. Two, that looks cold. I'm
My
well
thing
prepared
was
with the Canadian snow, but you don't wear a parka in the water. So
I had some gifs and some videos ready of people being very cold, just waiting for someone to fail, and so I could tweet that out in a video. And unfortunately, that was Michi. I'm sorry that was you, Michi, but it had to be someone.
shout out to Fessy, who they were like, Michi needs a medic. Fessy's like, all right, bet.
Especially like I'm winning this daily challenge and I'm the medic.
Yeah. I was like, oh my god.
That's why nobody's putting like a piece in his docket. No, it's because you can't lose the medic.
It's true. We also never, we just got no follow up on that. Just no follow up. They were like, okay, like, yeah, Michi's like really not doing well. I don't know if he's going to be able to continue. I'm like, so, anyways, Nam's hot. Let's talk about that. Like,
Yeah, Lolo is going crazy over now, and it's so funny because Lolo is a virgin and she is ready. Like she apparently has not met a man before Nam. Actually, I don't think I've ever met a man like Nam himself, so I don't blame her either.
you know what? We're all rightfully thirsting over him. I'm gonna have a sip of this right now as we talk about him because
People always tweet like,
that's
"I'm willing to risk it all for this man," or I'm willing to risk it all." Lolo is the literal definition of that right now
yeah.
because she's kept herself a virgin for 38 years on the straight and narrow, which is crazy because Olympians have like the craziest libidos of all time, like scientifically.
Also,
And
she's super hot.
oh yeah, add that in. And now she gets a Nam as a partner who's just a consummate good man who is hilarious and endearing. I don't even know if he knows what show he's on, yet he is a smoke show for us.
He really is. But I would like to know, like on my little my usual social media creeping, who's Lolo spending some Christmas time with, but Nicole. There's a picture of her and Nicole, each holding a dog, wearing little like Christmas onesies, with a Christmas tree in the background. What's going on here? I'm nosy.
Nam to Nolo, Nam to Lolo, my bad, not Nam
Yeah,
to
but
Nolo.
Nolo.
Yeah, Nam to no
Okay.
Nam to Nicole is the biggest downgrade all time.
Oh, Nam, he seems like such a nice guy.
Just genuinely, he doesn't want to hurt Lolo in any way. I don't think he's interested in her at all in that way. Yet he doesn't want to hurt her, and he doesn't want any volatility. And he's going to be a good guy. I hope he's on for many seasons. Actually, I don't know that yet because right now all I know he's hot and he's a physical specimen, but we don't know if he's a good competitor yet.
Well, then I do hope he is on many seasons because I love how Wes was like, I'm not even going to waste your time. He's a good looking man. And I was like,
Yeah.
you know what, Wes? You right. You're right. He's beautiful.
Yeah, Wes is like pitching him like, all right, let's get your OnlyFans going. Let's get you in a beta
It
box
worked.
incubator.
It worked. Sam started an OnlyFans. And I would like to brag. I taught Nam what simping is.
Ooh.
He didn't know what it was, and I like commented on his Instagram picture because I'm thirsty as fuck, and I was like, hey, I'm like, I'm simping for you, and he's like, I don't know what that means, and I was like, oh, well, let me know. Let me just tell you right now. From my perspective, it's pathetic that I'm saying it, especially on social media. But here's what it is. So obviously I like.
No,
Sorry, Jay. Our social media love affair is over.
that moment for me was on Twitter. I think I one time replied like a few years ago to Brianna LaQuesta. I think I tweeted her like I would drink your bath water.
I I adore that woman.
And not only did I sent that, and she
Eh.
replied, "Do it." And then I threw my phone under my bed and I ran away.
Do you want? I could tweet her. We're still following each other.
No, her and I follow each other.
I can get you
You
that
know,
bathwater.
yeah, I know. She one time DM'd me after an article I wrote about her. It's like, this is really nice, this is really cool. And I was like, oh my god, I feel loved right now because I love that girl. I think she's hilarious.
I wish
God,
she'd come back on the challenge. She didn't get really a fair shot, in
she
my
would
opinion.
not be good. She would not be good. But we need to get her on like a X on the Beach type show.
I heard Ashley Mitchell is going to be on X on the Beach, so
She
that I'm
stays in
excited
her
about.
bag. She stays in her bag.
Oh, Ashley, uh, all the power to her.
Next, we have on the list Wes pitching himself to Fessy and the Young Bucks that he can be their janitor, and then somehow in the next 10 to 15 seconds be like, also, if you don't like me in the role of janitor, I do have experience in the role of CEO.
Just 0 to 100 so quick with that, and he's like, bring me on as like a janitor, like an intern, or I could just make all the decisions for you.
He sees himself as Matt Damon in Good
Oh,
Will Hunting. He's like, I can be your janitor and then write these equations on the wall for you.
oh. I mean, to his credit, he was pitching this to Nelson, Fessy, and Corey, who um, aren't like the brightest crayons in the box. Based on their edits, I don't know. They could be very smart. Sorry, not Nelson. Scuba Nelly. He's got a new nickname apparently. Um, so that's I'll give it to Wes there. I can see why he'd be like, or how about I come up with the ideas for you? I like how CT was like, don't no, stay away from me.
You just have to love that Wes, like, he hits that groveling and he, like, kind of, he's like, okay, maybe I'm actually doing something here. Now let's flip it. Now
Yeah,
I'm in control. Wes is the person who's like, when you go into an interview, try and flip it and try to interview them.
yeah. I never get that right. I'm like, let me ask them a bunch of questions, and they're like, I have other candidates to get to. Do you mind? I'm like, yeah, but
Wes,
why do you want me to have this job?
if Wes was smart, he'd be pitching them like actual business ideas. He's like, yeah, I'll get you a job at Beta Blocks. You could have a house near me. He's like, you could hang out with my dog, Bootstrap.
Didn't he? Didn't him and like Swaggy work together?
I think he does own 5% of whatever Swaggy does. He
Yeah.
was an early
Right.
investor.
See, he could help.
Wes is a smart guy when it comes to stuff like that. Really underrated.
Yeah.
And now on to a really big part of this show, and it was Big T just wanting nothing to do with Joseph.
AKA Jay, AKA Jacob. Uh, he I felt bad because I'm like, wow, they're giving Joseph like a goofy edit. And then, well, Allie Evans pointed out on Twitter, she's like, well, in order to get a goofy edit, you have to do something goofy. And I was like, well, if the little orange or green hat fits, can't remember what color hat Goofy wears. Uh, ooh.
From his cardio exercises to his sleeping in the club
His
to
ab circuit.
bringing out mustard before the elimination.
Oh,
When I
what
wrote
was
my player preview about Joseph, I called him a self-made individual, and he's a self-made individual because he likes himself and beats to his own drum.
Colonel Mustard? Yeah.
Not sure if he beats to other people's drums as much, and that's a problem.
I think that one of the biggest burns I got to hear this week was I watched the show and I watched it with my family, and my stepdad's like, "What show is this guy from?" I was like, "Oh, he's from America's Got Talent." He's like, "As a clown? What was
Oh
what was
my
his
god.
talent?" I was like, "Oh, I
Joseph
didn't know."
did have some good moments. I mean, in that he tried to go for West, he tried to show some, heart, and then he just got dunked on over and over again by the edit and by this game. I feel not so bad for him because Big T herself was the biggest John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith hater.
Love it. I mean,
She got him voted into the elimination via the House vote, which was genius
I
because,
loved it.
yeah, she'll get a new partner out of it. She's just,
Yeah, she was smart with it, and I felt bad because, like, Joseph's like, "Oh, I don't know if I can trust you," like, you know. But how can Big T trust Joseph when he was already telling, like, Nelson at them? He's like, "Yeah, yeah, I want to go in,"
I
and
hope he
and
doesn't
it could
come
have,
back.
but it really could have screwed over Big T because what if TJ was like, "Okay, it's a double elimination, it's men and women,"
Yeah, I
then
mean,
Big T
that
would
could
have
be
been
a
going
twist this
in.
season. If
Like
they did
that's
it, or if it was like female double elimination, male elimination, that would be actually kind of interesting to see how people operate.
I think I really feel like that's gonna happen because like TJ seems to be like building up where he's like, and this is a really big one because it's a men's elimination. I think he's I think it's gonna happen. I'd also like to point out one of my favorite moments this episode, which you probably won't hear me repeat, but was something that Devin said.
Oh, was it about Nicole and not being able to understand
He's like,
a word she says?
I have no clue what she's saying. I have no clue. My partner is a physically built infant. And I was like, I've never laughed at anything this man has ever said, but that was funny.
Devin made some points. No, Devin used to be a lot funnier before he became obsessed with bananas. One of my favorite moments. I think who in a recent article I called him Big Mini Johnny
I
because he's
mean, that
bigger than Johnny, but he's not like Johnny either.
okay, that's fair.
And they got into a fight, and Devin yelled at him, "It's like, oh yeah, you want to show me? How about you go into the jungle and pull skulls with me?" And Vince goes, "No, I don't want to pull skulls," which is like the obvious reaction. But asking someone like, "Hey, do you want to go in there and play me in life or death, rock paper scissors?" It's
It's like,
just it's
no, I
top
don't.
tier. Do you want to play some high stakes coin flipping?
Like, I absolutely do not, if we're being honest. I'd
To
really
me,
like to
that
see a Big T and Devin interaction now. Now that I think about it, because they'd be funny.
he
Big
would
T
say
has
something
some of the
corny
best
as hell.
confessionals.
Big T has great confessional. She kills it every
Yeah,
week.
I love it. Love her. This whole plan. She's like, okay, I'm gonna make it seem like I don't want him to go in, but I do. And then we get to the elimination ceremony or the deliberation. Sorry, Joseph is like, well, I want to go in against Wes, and they're like, all right, bet you're the house vote. And he's like, no, well, no, I think we should vote Wes in, and then like, and then Fessy and Anissa can put me in. It's like, well, why wouldn't you wait until after they vote Wes in?
Yeah, Big T's like, I don't want Wes as a partner. I don't want that target on me.
But like, why wouldn't they wait and be like, why wouldn't, if Joseph wanted to go in against Wes, why wouldn't he wait until Wes was the house vote, and then after, like, they're voted in, he's like, Fessy, put me in, or like talk to Fessy before.
It's because
Renisa.
Joseph is bad. Joseph doesn't know the game. He's bad at the game, and he shouldn't get cast again.
Poor kid. Put him on X on the beach or something. I don't know.
I'm good. We could. He can hope for an America's Got Talent All Star season.
I don't see that happening. In the clown
Next,
division?
next we have CT. I mean, not CT. Fessy and Anissa getting upset over the fact that T and Joseph were voted in instead of Wes and Natalie. He sees that Kyle has voted for Big T and Joseph. Thus, he decides that I'm going to throw Kyle in for snaking me like this.
This was so stupid. This was so dumb. This is what I don't understand. So the logic here is that they want Wes and Natalie to go in because they want Wes, who's a champ, to be eliminated. Thus, what would happen is that Natalie would then, in theory, be partnered with CT. You want CT and Natalie as a team?
I don't think that really matters though, because you could just house vote them into elimination again, and just keep taking shots at them as many times as you can. Really,
I don't know. I thought it was dumb, but Kyle looked shocked,
I
shocked and
don't.
appalled.
I don't think Wes and CT or Natalie having strong partners really matters in this game, because it matters more about connections, and getting a Leroy or a Cam or a Fessy as a partner matters more because they have a lot of connections in the game, and it's a house vote at the end of the day. It's not a last place goes into elimination vote.
Oh, those are my. I like those. I like that format.
I do too. It's just a house vote. It allows you just to like bully someone and just throw them in a bunch of times via the house vote. We saw it happen to CT on Rivals. Wes and Kenny did it to Darrell on Fresh Meat too, but he was not the
Happened to
first one.
Jay.
Happened to Jay last season. Just a long history of that happening to people via the house vote. I'm not a big fan of house votes because I don't think you should inherently have power for existing.
I agree. But also the issue, if last place in the daily challenge immediately went in, people would just start throwing it so they could like have a chance to get their skull, their gold skull, not their red skull.
Is that a bad thing though? Is that like a terrible thing?
No,
Because you could throw in someone strong against them and then kind of screw them over.
which is what happened to Joseph.
And Kyle
He's
gets
like,
thrown in.
you know who I want. Fessy was like, yeah, I know who you want. So Kyle and Nani was just coasting because Nani doesn't want to be with Kyle. Big T doesn't want to be with Joseph. So like they may as well have just handed some like Cosmos over to like Nani and Big T.
Big
Like this
T
is
was
great.
active. Big T was actively cheering for Kyle.
Oh yeah, she was like pre-popping champagne for like when Kyle won.
The elimination was a pole wrestle type game where instead of a pole, they used a circle slash cylinder type object. They went at it pretty hard, in my opinion. In the end, Kyle won pretty dominantly. 2-0. It was best out of three.
Pretty dumb for Fessy not to take that. He's like, yeah, I don't know if it's gonna be pole wrestle or hub roll, so they're obviously not gonna put it in. I could see. And I only get the camera view. He had a bird's eye view of what it was, and it was a circle, like a ring, in the middle of a dirt pit. What did you think that was? Did you think it was ring toss? Did you think it was like
Yeah, is it
a
is it
buried
is
Sudoku
it is it
puzzle?
is it horseshoes?
Yeah,
Because
like
there were poles right there that you could theoretically throw it into. So it's a dumb decision by Fessy. At the same time, I don't think getting a school early in the game is the strategy if there are a limited amount. Because TJ keeps saying there's a limited amount. If you have that skull, that's just going to put a target on you for the rest of the game.
But Fessy's already a target because he's so big. Like the only reason he got his skull last season was because they put him in against Jordan.
Yeah, nobody wants to see him in elimination though. Like nobody actually like wants to actively face him.
Yeah, if I was him, I would have just went in.
I think as a whole, it's just better to wait on it. Especially last season, we saw like Kyle did nothing and then reaped the rewards by just grabbing his skull at the end.
As he does, and I love it. He didn't do like okay, so he said he voted for Wes, but he didn't really vote for Wes. And then Fessy's like, fine, you can have a ticket to the final. He's constantly rewarded for bad behavior.
It's amazing because I shit on him all last season. Like Kyle's playing terribly, it's awful, and then he goes to the final, finishes in second place, and I'm like, this is awful. This season should not be rewarded. He played awfully, and it frustrated me like crazy. Kyle wins the elimination, and then he chooses a new partner. He takes Cam because he's like, well, Cam is one of the most protected players in the game, and it's a real big brain strategy.
It was a great move, and I honestly I didn't see it coming.
It's what I said last week. I said Natalie should take Leroy, and then Kyle did it. So Kyle, once again, shuts me up as a critic of his by making a really smart game move.
Yeah,
Then you
all
have
he had to do was defeat Mustard's #1 fan, Joseph, who said that it helps with muscle cramps or something. Don't know what that was. And Kyle got to just drag him across the elimination floor, which is great.
yeah. What's crazy is that he pukes after, and people are like, "It's blood." It's like, no, he's just hungover.
Yeah, they're like, Nani's like, it's his dinner.
Like
It's
he
not
didn't
blood.
know he was competing. He didn't know he was competing tonight. He just assumed he was good.
What I loved about it, which makes me like want to hang out with him, is that he like threw up, and then right after he's like, "All right, so we're getting beers after this, or what?" I was like, I love it.
He's like, my stomach feels good now. I cleared out all the bad. Let's get some good times in.
Sometimes you gotta do a little purge, you know?
Puking rally.
Yeah, that's how you pregame.
Yeah.
You knock back shots of water. That's what
The
I've
people
always done.
who heave and just don't have the courage to just like actively put their hand down their throat to just like get it out of the way. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I'm like, I'm not pro anorexia, but I'm pro getting the bad stuff out of you.
As someone that has a lot of like abdominal problems, and vomiting will just like make me feel better when I'm ill, just right for it.
You also
Yeah,
get the endorphins because your eye ducts tear up and you get a little bit of adrenaline when you do it too.
perfect. I'll be ready for anything except eating again.
Bigger shocker is that Nani gets a new partner in Josh, who had to choose between her and Big T. And of course, he's picking Nani because Nani's his good friend,
Yeah,
and
best friend apparently.
she's also bigger than Big T, which helps, I think, from a physical standpoint.
Yeah, Josh has also like competed with Nani before. They were like partners for
Swimming thing on War of the Worlds
yeah.
too. And I think this pair is pretty terrible on paper because they don't really lift each other up in any way because
Yeah.
Josh's strengths is like swimming and carrying stuff, and Nani's okay at that stuff, but they're not going to win any mental competition. They'll do fine. I don't know. It's not as good as Kyle because her and Kyle, I think, do have a very similar social game, and I think Nani is overthinking it, and together they would have made a really strong team all season. I think they would have just coasted by the whole time.
Yeah.
Josh is more volatile. He puts a target on Nani.
He's too emotional. One of them's gonna get too drunk and get into a fight with somebody.
If you watch the trailer for next week, that's already happening.
With picking a fight with CT, is it?
You gotta like that Josh only punches above his weight.
Oh, oh, okay. So
I mean, Josh
that's
is playing the strategy of like, all right, let's get West for a rival season, and if that falls through, I'm gonna get CT.
one of the best moments with his whole rivalry with Wes was when Wes was like, I don't know where this came from.
My favorite thing was when there were only 4 people in the game you could nominate for elimination, and and they had to nominate 3, and Josh does not get nominated with Wes in control of the tribunal, and he's all like, "All right, cool, just what I wanted."
He's like, yeah. It's like I'm shocked I wasn't put up there. Here's the thing, I don't like Josh on I don't like Josh on reality TV. I think that he's like the luckiest person. He just like finds his way. Like he didn't win Big Brother. Like again,
Yeah, we talked about this last week.
Yeah, but I think that if I like hung out with Josh post COVID, because I feel like these Big Brother people party too much during COVID. I think I would have fun with him. I think he'd be a good time.
I think Josh is someone who I can recognize as a good person, just a great human
Yeah.
being. Me as an individual would never hang out with Josh. He's very loud. He's just a lot to take in.
He wouldn't
Does
last a second with my friends. Just wouldn't last one moment.
Oh yeah, my friends and I, we take each other down so hard every
Yeah.
minute of every day. It's just from nice guy, good person, just wouldn't be my friend. And that's not a bad thing because, maybe I'm a terrible person. Maybe I can admit that. And maybe he's better than me. At the same time, don't like him on my TV screen too much. Don't like him on this game too much because I think he talks out the side of his mouth a little too much.
What another he so there was the whole Bear and Georgia scandal where Bear released a sex tape of him and Georgia without her consent. And so Georgia like made a video and put it online where she was like crying and genuinely upset about the situation, as she should be. And then Bear made one where he was like, I'm just gonna hang myself. And then he posted that. And I guess Josh didn't see the whole thing happening with Georgia because both Josh and Bananas commented on the Instagram post that Bear made with that video and were like, listen, man, like if you need to talk to anyone, like it's not worth it to like hang yourself. I'm like, Josh, weren't you like thirsting over Georgia for like 2 seasons?
Yeah, what they also don't talk about in that whole stuff is that in the days before, Bear is making fun of Georgia crying about all this stuff, and he's making a farce of the situation, like like this girl is a joke. I never did this. Da 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 da. And now suddenly he's trying to get sympathy, and then also and then he goes back to posting his normal Bear stuff to make light of the whole situation. It's really disgusting.
I
Just
don't know who Bear's PR person is, but like, is it Helen Keller? Because there's not a whole lot going on with that. Like,
it's a mess. I think Bear is on a. I mean, it's hard to say he's on a downward spiral when he's been kind of toxic and trash this whole time. It's kind of disgusting though from people like Josh though, because I understand that what he was replying to was coming from like a good place of like just being a human of like, hey man, if you're going through stuff, da 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 da. But he's also Georgia's friend, and it's almost impossible to avoid all the Georgia tweets, all the social media posts. It's like
if you and
I
I
don't
are
know what's
seeing
going
them,
on. Yeah,
he would definitely be seeing them.
it's a complete mess. Especially if you got to expect that, not only that, but people are probably tagging him with the Georgia stuff because they know he was attached to Georgia for 2 seasons.
Yeah, that left a sour taste in my mouth. Didn't like that.
And then we have the big moment, which is CT gets Big T as a partner.
Team
And for
T.
Big T started with Jacob as her partner, then found out his name was Joseph, then votes Joseph into elimination, and now she has CT as a partner, which is one of the all-time upgrades. That's like when you go to a concert and you have like really terrible seats, and then someone throws up in the aisle, and they give you like really good seats after.
My brother and I went to a Lana Del Rey concert last year, maybe the year before. Anyways, so we were like way in the back. They were like gifted tickets to us. So we were grateful to just be at the concert. But we're like way at the back and it's just us two and then like two girls sitting in front of us and we're really like just like nosebleeds. And security comes up and goes up to these two girls and he's like, you guys want to go to the pit? And they were like, oh my God, yes. And so we think, he's going to come back up in a minute and be like, okay, now you two. No. I was
R.I.P.
sitting with Jesus over in the clouds.
What happened when I saw Chance the Rapper at the Greek Theater was a girl, like her friends didn't show up or something, and she had Molly, and she took the Molly, ate all these cheese fries, then just hurled them all up. And they moved all the people in like that aisle-ish area to the pit. And that was really cool for them because they got a huge upgrade in seat. I mean, my seat actually wasn't that bad. It was actually pretty good. It was like right down the middle of like the seated area. They go down there and it was great for me because they came and like they cleaned it up. They put some powder on it, some dry powder that made it smell great in the area. And then nobody was sitting near us anymore because everyone on this like right side that was like next to us was gone. So we had all this leg room for this concert and all this space. It was lit. It was a great concert.
I'm just imagining the cheese
Oh
fries
gosh.
salesperson just like
Oh
having to
yeah,
deal with this girl
they
that was probably like so high and like trying to eat her face the long way and
yeah.
he's like,
No, dude, it was they were steak fries that I didn't get the ones with cheese on them. I just got the steak fries themselves,
sounds good.
and I think they had a little bit of garlic on them too.
Oh,
Ooh, God, those were like some of the best steak fries I've ever had in my life, and it was at the Greek Theater in LA.
oh, I can't wait for Corona to go away.
What are you excited to see for next week?
I'm excited for this like Josh versus CT drunken mess. I'm I'm ready for it. I love like that's what I missed last season was that they were in the bunker. They only really partied in that what looked like something from Harry Potter little bar, and they didn't get as are you the one level wasted as I think they're going to get this season. I want to see
You
fights.
have to you have to be afraid for Josh because CT is in kick-ass weight now. Like in that, like he's ready to fight. He's ready to kick his ass.
His father figure. But I think that CT is like emotionally mature enough now to know not to like fight on the show.
God, Inferno 2 CT would have murdered Josh.
Would have crushed his skull.
Josh would have never came back on the show.
No, Josh would not have come back from the hospital.
Man, he not only would he like, I just imagine like someone trying to hold back CT and also getting the wrath of CT in this modern era. Because you remember like the Duel 2, and the people that were holding back CT from murdering Adam were like Mark Long, Evan, Big Easy, like these guys that are all at least 230 pounds or bigger.
And they could barely do it.
Yeah, and I just trying to imagine Jay and I
Oh,
don't know, even Kyle, because Kyle is a big dude, but man, they would just get like tossed to the side if they tried to hold back that CT.
they would get backpacked like bananas.
Yeah, my God, that would be crazy.
I'm into
What do
that.
you give as a grade for this episode?
I give it. I give it uh, eight abs out of 8 Nam's abs.
I give it
I'm giving it a
seven.
perfect score.
I'm giving it 7 Nam Abs out of 8. It
Okay.
is a very solid episode. I enjoyed it a lot. One of my favorite challenge episodes in the last couple of years wasn't exceedingly exceedingly, amazing. Just was solid across the board.
Yeah, there wasn't any part of it where I was like, I guess I could go get a snack now. Like I don't feel like I'm gonna miss anything.
It felt like a very long episode. I do give people that comment of people saying like, "Wow, this episode's boring," and that the episode did feel like it was like a long time, but I was invested the whole way through.
Absolutely, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm still gonna give it eight of Am's abs out of 8.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video / podcast. I hope you guys enjoy all the articles we're going to put up, all the content we're going to put up.
Yeah.
Subscribe to Caffeine Confessionals on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or just go to our website and have it bookmarked, caffeineconfessionals.com.
Do it all.
Follow Nikki on Twitter at Nikkison or at the Nikkison?
At the Nikkison.
At the Nikkison. You follow me at the Alanagiri. I tried to get the at Alanagiri. The guy would not relent. I offered him money, and
Very
he said
rude.
no. And not only that, but I then offered him an amount of money that I would not pay just to see if he would say yes. Also said no.
Oh well, I realized that the porn star Nikki Sin, which is with 2 N's, is also the Nikki Sin, but with 2
Wow.
N's, and I'm like, okay, well this is gonna cause some confusion for people. It did not. It definitely caused confusion because Jenna Jameson follows me and asked me if I want to go to the movies once on Twitter, and I was like, why does Jenna Jameson want to go to the movies? Oh, she thinks
Do you
porn
not want to
star.
go to the movies with Jenna Jameson?
Oh, I said yes, and then I think she realized it was not her friend, and she stopped replying. I'm like, all right, true.
What a great anecdote to leave us off on.
Yeah, I've always got them.
Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, subscribe. Thank you again.